There's nothing more bland than Marvel. I've watched most of the Marvel movies and my experience with them, except for a few outliers, have been that they are bland cash grab in the same way that pop music like Ed Sheeran and Shawn Mendes is. Edit. Thank you all for joining into the discussion. I want to clarify my point a bit. I used to like Ed Sheeran and same with Marvel at first. But at some point they both realized that people will buy their creation no matter how lazily written they are, and I think we should try to be more critical of them because that will lead to them making better art. Edit 2, hey mods. Where is the vote bot? Edit 3, thank you for the gold. Same with Disney remakes. Where the fuck is the agree/disagree bot? A business main priority is to make money? Shocking. Sarcasm aside, I somewhat agree. There are some very subpar films, but there are some that I enjoy a lot. Individually a lot of them are formulaic and not great. Where Marvel excels is bringing those stories together. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I watch Marvel movies because I've already read the comics. I know what's gonna happen in these movies, and seeing them with cool effects and shit is pretty nice. Also there are slight twists that are not in the comics too. General audience probably watches them because the entire world is watching it. It's like Die Hard or Fast and Furious for most people. There's just shit blowing up on the screen with jokes and story points you can see coming from a mile away. And most people like what they can expect. Sure, being surprised is cool and all, but you don't know when you're going to be surprised, so we, as the population, choose the expected results. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. AKA expected joke. It's formulaic in a sense that you can only write so many different origin stories. However, I really enjoy the movies as they are comic book movies but are in a sense different franchises. The Captain America films are much more conspiracy/espionage focused, the Guardians films are space operas, and when the team-up films happen it's truly an event to behold where they bring people together like the characters in the film. Although the films are derivative with each other, they are nonetheless solid films. There are clear arcs fulfilled, and I think it's great they are creating more opportunities for more characters to appear on the big screen. As much as I love Batman, I want other characters like Lobo or Kyle Rayner to have their moments to shine. Because of the success of Iron Man, the later origin films do follow similar plot points. However, I think the sequels are all unique in their own way. If every superhero film was like Nolan's Batman, I'm sure everyone will have similar complaints as well. I guess this is more a protest towards pop culture who live for this stuff and give Marvel enough reasons to keep making the same bland movies. Deleted. The plot is essentially the same in all of them and the good guy always wins. Infinity War was the only interesting one because it didn't have a happy ending. Is it still a cash grab if fans want it? As someone who grew up reading comic books, I had always wants to see them on the big screen. I get that some of them, I still think Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2 and 3, Avengers 2, and a few more were just okay, are weak, but at the same time they have really built something really cool. They have created an environment for comics and comic book movies to thrive under. It's brought more interest to the fantasy market and has also given directors and writers the ability to get a whole lot weirder. I think it's still developing, and just because Marvel is blowing it up right now under Disney with semi-formulaic blockbusters, doesn't invalidate how awesome it is. For example, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons and people acted like I was some ultra nerd. But then video games like Skyrim came out and they blew up, which is basically a lesser version of D&D. Now GOT and many other movies and shows, a lot of them suck, have come out, and it is expanding the fantasy universe, and movie theaters are needing to get creative and figure out how to keep their audiences interested. I feel like I'm watching experiment where companies see what the public wants, and right now it's fantasy. I don't think it will die out like the westerns did, and if anything it will just get more refined. Very much agree. The humor in particular really rubs me the wrong way. It's like they write a basic script and some kind of algorithm that determines where humor should be, writes insert joke here, and then a team of writers work tirelessly to come up with the most easily understood, unoffensive joke possible to place there. But not just the humor, Everything in the film seems market tested to the nth degree to ensure nothing goes over anyone's head. I never get a sense of a singular creative vision or drive to try something new behind the films. They're all fine, and they all mostly bore me, and I can't wait to not watch the movie again once it's over. A lot of people claiming this isn't unpopular, while at the same time 2/3s of the comments are from Marvel apologists. What bothers me about these movies is that they're essentially children's in terms of depth and complexity, while missing the charm of other kid movies, yet you'll constantly find grown people in their 20s and 30s defending them as high art. These movies won't be looked back on and studied for their artistic merits. They'll be studied by entertainment boards and marketing teams on how to mass-produce safe yet profitable media, as well as for essentially making a TV show for the big screen. I don't agree with you at all. I love Marvel films. Call it shit taste. I don't care. That being said, here's an upvote for something actually unpopular. I agree that Marvel movies are following some kind of format, but I think this decade, especially the second half, there has definitely been a shift in humor and punchlines compared to previous superhero films. I wouldn't reduce it to simple cash grabs and bland. DC films this decade have been more bland, but on this sub there is quite a lot of anti-Marvel, I suspect mostly because of how popular it's become and its promotions are somewhat unavoidable. So it's produced a similar effect to overplayed pop music that you don't care for. I can understand how it would piss people off. I think the Marvel films have generally been pretty good this decade. They deserve the money they're making. I wish more movies had Infinity War's ending, unfortunately not very common. That film was the best of the bunch as far as I'm concerned. I definitely don't share this opinion, but I gotta say, hey, at least this is a legit unpopular opinion. XD, Ed Sheeran. Wait, are you now allowed to say that Ed Sheeran sucks on Reddit? What next, Kanye? You know that the appeal of these movies mostly lies with the actors and scripts themselves, right? The overall plot doesn't really matter as long as it makes sense enough, but the dialogue, action, and character work are probably the biggest draw and enjoyable part of the films for most people. Not to mention how they tie in with each other, which really doesn't happen that often in movies. It just seems that now after Endgame, it's cool to hate on Marvel. I do enjoy some of Marvel's films since Iron Man, but there are definitely films in that lineup that are not good at all. Thor 1/2, CATFA, I Am 2/3, AOU, and some that were definitely overhyped, BP and CM. I am glad that they're finally giving other characters like Moon Knight and Blade a chance. I just don't understand the literal gender changes of a few of the characters they chose. There's nothing more bland than a post on r/UnpopularOpinion on how boring Marvel is. I don't know, sounds like you just don't like Marvel. They've had plenty of unbland hits: Iron Man 1, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Infinity War, and Civil War are all standouts. Ignoring the fact nobody's ever accomplished a shared movie universe like this before, are you a disgruntled DC fan? Or perhaps you just like artsier stuff? Which is fine, but I don't think they're bland. What they are making is not art, it is entertainment. A lot of them can be very well made, and some could actually have something to say, but they are mainly just entertainment, like the comic books or animations. Some comics may have had other intentions initially, i.e. Superman being the protector of U.S. in the time of war, X-Men being a direct result of Luther King's movement and the otherness in society, etc. But they all turned into industry-level entertainment. Soon making these movies will not be as expensive because of technology, and we will have a ton of comic books turned in series instead of animations or movies. There's 22 Marvel movies now, there's maybe a handful that are good solo movies. Most of them that are considered good are only good because you understand the jokes after suffering through all the early Marvel movies. Not quite on board with your argument, but I agree, their movies aren't that good. Are they entertaining? Yes. Do they contain well-written action scenes? Yes. Are they objectively good movies? No, they're simply not, let alone extraordinarily good. FSR most people that like Marvel a lot simply won't understand or accept this. They're superhero movies. They are not meant to be well written or smart. Why? Because the MCU films were targeting the masses. The masses are as stupid as they are numerous. To have a smart movie wouldn't sell as well. Nobody here should have to have their arms twisted to agree. Marvel chose to go with accessible movies that were peppered with great CGI, banal puns and unmemorable storytelling. And the people loved it? Marvel/Disney know their target audience. Unoriginal. The worst Marvel movie is better than the Star Wars reboot. They're made for kids and young adults. You expect Kurosawa and Kubrick, couldn't agree more. Ever ate air? It's so bland and the crunch factor is zero. The inevitable conclusion of late-stage capitalism's commodification of art. I lolled when Ed Sheeran got roasted by Drogon. Weird that you think there is only Marvel movies, when a lot of the TV shows have been masterpieces. Superhero movies, outside of The Dark Knight, are made to appeal to the lowest common denominator. Up till this Spider-Man that's going to come out. The rest of the movies were planned like over 10 years ago when they signed actors to 10+ movie deals. Before even knowing if anyone would like these the way they did.